Many people are one emergency away from financial ruin, not only because they don't make enough, but because of this convenience tax that many people don't even know that they're paying. We live in an economy designed to make spending money as frictionless as possible. That's why your bank account constantly feels like a leaky bucket.
Something shifted in my finances really, and I want to share them with you. It was just behavioral changes, things that I had quietly stopped doing that over a long term made a big impact on my expenses. They started quietly dropping and continued to drop. And it wasn't a drastic lifestyle change. It was just a shift in my behavior. And I want to share exactly what those were right now.
Before we dive in, just a quick reminder. I am not a licensed financial advisor or mortgage specialist. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only and reflects my own opinions and experiences. Since everyone's financial situation is different, please do your own research. You can find the full legal disclaimer in the description below. Let's get into it. Number 1, the subscription vampire. The very first thing that I stopped buying, unnecessary subscriptions. So everybody's been there, right? You sign up for a subscription, or maybe it started as a free trial, right? And eventually you forgot about it. It rolled into a subscription, but you first got it back in 2002 and you barely noticed. You haven't looked back since. I actually made a video on this very thing. I'll link it above about the trap of free trials. However, the gap is now getting wider and companies want you to start paying for stuff that you already own or should be able to use monthly with no charge. I'm talking about companies that lock your ink on your printer if you don't pay, car companies that charge you to use your fob to start your car. As a 20-year corporate accountant and analyst, I call this budget bleeding, that it's slowly draining you of money without maybe you even realizing it. That money could go towards your RSP, your TFSA, or some sort of valuable investment for your financial future. Here's a table of just some of the subscriptions that I found, and notice the increase over the years. I remember when Netflix started at $7.99 back in 2010, and I told my wife, $8 a month, you can't beat that. I'd be fine if they even raised it $1 maybe. And now take a look at the price. It's anywhere from $16 to $23, and I keep trying to keep it at that $16 mark. But even Disney started at $6.99. It's increased as well. And this is common, right? As it gains momentum, companies continue to increase it. Most people won't notice $1 or $2, and they do it in stages, right? And you'll notice every 6 to 8 months, it goes up by another $1. And then another $1. And they'll say, well, that's because we're adding new shows and all that. Some people have gotten so used to it. Well, it's become customary to have it. So they don't want to just cancel it as it's a disruption to their lives. I get it. Look at this. Subscriptions are like sauces and spices. Some of these I use every single day. Others, maybe once a week, once a month. And the very back row, well, I bought them because they sounded like a good idea at the time, but in reality, I hardly ever use them. But I kept all of them because it was nice to have the option to maybe do something with them. Here's the thing. I could get rid of a third, maybe even half of these sauces and spices, and my cooking wouldn't really suffer. You would just have to improvise a bit more, work with what really matters. Subscriptions are the same way. You're paying for all these different spices when in actuality, you only really use a handful of them. So find your core subscriptions, the ones you genuinely use, and feel free to just let the rest go. You'll probably hardly even miss them. And it is so easy. When you're on all of these apps, I see them all the time, same as you. You'll be clicking on something, all of a sudden this bright blue box comes up. Get more storage for only $4.99 a month, or no thanks, and you have to carefully navigate through so you don't click on the wrong button for something you don't need. I don't need more storage, premium features. I'm not interested. These are 3 of the most outrageous subscriptions, but totally real, that I could find. Number 1, the Hewlett-Packard cartridge lockout that I mentioned. So if you're using your printer and you cancel your subscription, which you were paying anywhere from $2 to $36 a month, Hewlett Packard stops you from being able to print. They simply lock you out. You own the printer. However, you do not own the ink that is sitting at your house that you paid for, because that belongs to Hewlett Packard. Or number 2, the Mercedes-Benz accelerator package. For their EQ electric vehicle lineup, Mercedes offered a subscription to unlock the full performance their cars were already capable of. depending on the model, that ran $60 to $90 a month or $600 to $900 a year. The hardware already exists in the car. You're just paying for that additional speed. Number 3, and I love Toyotas, but the Toyota fob key fee, the Toyota remote start subscription. On 2018 and newer Toyota models, the remote start function built into your key fob, that button you press from inside your house to warm up your car in the driveway, requires an active subscription to work. That'll run you $8 a month or $80 a year. Your basic lock and unlock still works for free, but that remote start, that's behind a paywall. On a key fob that you already own. On a car that you already own. In case we haven't met, I'm Aaron, a 20-year corporate accountant and analyst living in Western Canada. I talk about personal finance and investing. I try to represent the voice of the middle and working class the best that I can and talk about real, practical problems and offer solutions if I can. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, consider subscribing to my channel. The second thing I stopped buying is fast food. Surprise, surprise, right? Fast food, pretty much every place, has been getting a bad rap and going downhill lately. I never really ate fast food that much, like in the last 10 years. In my 20s and 30s, sure. You know, after a night of partying or the next day when you're at the mall with your friends, yeah, sure, why not? Now, however, it's extremely small portions, very, very overpriced for what you're getting relative to 10, 20 years ago. And don't even get me started on the list of unpronounceable ingredients that go into many of these contraptions, products we'll call them. Can't even call it food. I don't know. Now, many people will answer, well, it's convenient, right? If I don't want to cook or something. Well, not anymore. I continually hear stories about how long the lineups are, the poor service. So that's kind of out the window. So what else you got? Even, I don't know if you're aware, the recent CEO of McDonald's went on and he was doing a commercial, right? And he went to take a bite of it and they're mocking him, other companies and the public, because he took such a small bite of it. About a year ago, I took my 12-year-old son to McDonald's, right? He still kind of likes it. And so I got something too, just so he's not eating alone. I got a Big Mac, which I used to get. And I'm not kidding you, I opened it up, right, to look at the meat patty, if you can call it that. And it was so small, like the bun, if you put the bun on top, you wouldn't be able to see it. It was like this big, and I'm like, it was super thin, and I'm like, wow, this is what it's come to now. I couldn't believe it. And it was more than double the cost that I was expecting it to be. So what's the answer? Do what everybody else is doing. Cook at home. This is so much better for you, cheaper, healthier, and guys, come on, you know this stuff. What lady doesn't love a guy who can't cook a good meal? You'll get in good with the ladies. Just learn to cook. The third thing that I just stopped doing or stopped falling for was the sale psychology. Buying things simply because they were on sale. This is a psychological trick known as anchoring. So when you see a jacket that was $200 and now it's marked down to $100, your brain instinctively thinks, wow, that's on sale, I should buy it, even though you don't really need it. I adopted the 72-hour rule, that if I see something and I really want it, I wait 72 hours, 3 days, and think about it. And often, about 90% of the purchases, things I wanted that I thought I needed, would just fade out of memory, and I didn't really need them after all. And that's money saved, money back in my pocket, and hopefully money for investments. A friend of mine, and I'm not going to say who, but she would instinctively buy things that she didn't need, absolutely didn't need them, simply because they were on sale, right? She would say to herself or to others, well, at that price, I'll get 3 or 4. Well, you don't need it. And then she would forget where the item was that she got, and she would go out and buy another one. And we learned this in marketing classes, that if an item isn't selling well, do you get rid of it? No. You simply move the product, say maybe to an end aisle, put it on there, and put limit of 6 per customer. Customers see that, and even though it's the same price as, you know, when it was down the other aisle, and say $1, people see it and say, wow, limit of 6, I better stock up because I need soup, whatever it is, because it's that scarcity mindset. It's scarce, so you better get in now while it's a good price. Did I tell you that I've worked in a grocery store for almost 2 years and held over 25 different jobs throughout my career? Just in case you're interested. The fourth thing is single purpose, unnecessary, stupid gadgets, right? Say for the kitchen. I don't need a little appliance that costs $30, $40 to crack my eggs, right? I'll crack my own eggs. I don't need a high-end coffee maker that is $500 to $800. I know some of these products are also espresso machines, but I'm just saying in general, just a mid-level coffee maker, that's all it does, I'm fine with. All I really need is a good cutting board, a really high quality knife, some good old fashioned pots and pans and frying pans, And that's it. If you're anything like I was, and I imagine you are, like you open up your cupboards and, oh, I forgot we had this. And what does this thing do? Dusty. Oh yeah, I forgot we had this thing. You never use it. It feels so good to declutter and just sell it in a garage sale or something. You just never go back. I find it so much, I feel better in my mind if I'm free of clutter and I just have a few well-kept things. A really good product doesn't try to do or be 15, 20 different things. It just has one thing, one purpose that it does extremely well. And speaking of junk, if you're interested in why products seem to not have the greatest quality anymore, I just made a very recent video on that very thing and planned obsolescence. So I'll link that up above if you want to check that out. I found that the best kind of middle ground for most products where you're getting a really good quality product at a decent price is the sweet spot, I call it, the mid-range level. I don't want to buy the cheapest product on the market, but I don't want a premium or luxury product that's, I feel, just overpriced. But you can get hidden gems right in that sweet spot of between 30 to 50%. That's where the real gold lies. Hey, do me a favor. If you're getting something out of this video, would you hit the like button? Much appreciated. The fifth thing is the optimization trap, right? Stop buying things that work already fine as they are. You don't need to upgrade to the newest, better version. Don't listen to all those other companies saying, oh, you're missing out. What companies call upgrading or upselling. So selling you additional packages, features, whatever they are. They always do this with various products such as cell phones. And you don't need to upgrade your cell phone every year or two. I know it sucks and it's kind of unfortunate that they always die around 4 to 5 years. That makes me mad. Wait at least 2 generations before you upgrade, because then when you do, it feels like a real jump. Try to make things last as long as you can, or repair them yourself if you can. Another comment that I got a lot on my other video. Most upgrades will be marginally better at best, like you barely notice any improvements. And they teach you in marketing, well, if something's expensive, don't say that, say premium. If something's cheap, say value priced. It's just those shifts in wording meant to fool customers. The sixth thing is Fad Beverages and luxury water. Now this sounds small, but their beverage tax is real. Between a $7 latte here and a $5 soda there and getting bottled water at the convenience store or whatever, all of this really adds up. I don't go in much for fads, right? I really try to avoid fads unless there's a good reason. I remember when coconut water came out, right? And it was all the rave. You had to be drinking coconut water if you want to be healthy. And then they did studies on it and they found that, well, there's very little difference, marginal at best, or in most cases, water hydrated you better than expensive coconut water. I remember back in the 80s, right? What did we drink? You drank tap water. You go up to the tap. That's what we drank. Bottled water. They look at you funny. Go to the tap. Have tap water. And then, oh, no, don't do that. Well, we survived. I don't know. Somehow all of us, we made it through the 80s and 90s. So what's so wrong with that? It's just small leaks can really sink ships over time and start pushing back that retirement and your financial plans. The final last thing is, sounds funny, razor blades, Gillette to be specific. And this just recently happened to me where I lost my razor. I left it at my sister's house, so I'm not going back for it. I have to get another razor. But I've always known that the blades just kill you, right? Like when you have to go out and buy blades, they're like $3 to $4, maybe even $5 a blade, because a pack of, I think 4 or 5 is like 25 bucks. It doesn't cost $4 or $5 to make them. I can guarantee that. And I don't know if you're familiar with the story about King Camp Gillette, but when he started his company back in 1901 and came out with the Gillette razor, I believe in 1903, and started up his company, American Safety Razor Company, he understood something that, well, when he first started selling the razor, because most razors had to manually sharpen, right? They wouldn't sharpen themselves, so you had to sit there and sharpen them by hand. He invented a razor that was cheap, disposable, that you could use it a few times and then just get rid of it. And to promote this, he sold his original razors for dirt cheap. You could buy the razor that held the blades at little to no cost, right? It was so inexpensive. But the catch was the razor blades were where he made his money. And I think it was after 8-9 years, that's when he became a millionaire. And this famously became known as the razor blade strategy, similar to the printers, right? You'll notice that the printer is dirt cheap, probably maybe only $80 to $120 in some cases. Where they make their money is on the ink, because a printer is useless without ink. So now I'm actually in the market for a new razor blade and I start looking, but before I buy it, I check, well, how much are the replacement blades? So if you have any ideas, let me know. I plan to get one in the next week or two. If you want to know whether you should repair that old clunker that you're driving because it's having problems, or if you should bite the bullet and go out and buy a new car or maybe a new truck or even used, check out this first video here. And if you're wondering why I myself a decent salary, but I still feel like I'm living in poverty here in Canada, you want to check out this second video.